Hi everyone, welcome to the Careers channel. My name is Esther Katonga and I manage commercial operations for a fish feed manufacturer. So today we're going to be discussing career flexibility and what you should know as somebody entering the job market, how to plan your career, and also understanding that things are not always going to go as you planned, and how to adapt to the changes that are going to happen as you progress in your career, as you change jobs. What should you expect? I'm going to be walking through what happened with me and how I was able to get to where I am now. Okay, so for me, when I finished high school, I was very convinced that I was going to be a lawyer. I had been talking about it for many years. And even what I studied in my A-levels, the career trajectory was because I wanted to be a lawyer. So I studied religious studies, history, and English literature. I was very convinced. Unfortunately, what happened is when I was doing registration for university, I was late. So the law faculty was full. And the lady who was there suggested that I study economics, which was very far removed from studying law. But at the time, I agreed because, number one, I really wanted to study. I really just wanted to start school. I did not want to be at home anymore. So anything they threw at me, I was going to accept. So in the presence of my dad, I agreed. I said, yeah, economics sounds great. And when I started to study in the first year, second year, third year, I realized I actually really enjoy this. I enjoyed the numbers. I enjoyed the stories. And then I started to think, okay, because of what I've studied now, where am I going to end up? What career am I going to choose? Even the internships that I got were very aligned with what I was studying at the time. But as life would have it, I graduated. I had very high hopes that I was going to end up maybe in the NGO world, working with women and children, working for possibly a World Bank, something that was in line with economics. And there were no jobs. I was jobless for probably a good 2 years before I landed my real first job. Part-time, I started working at a hotel as a receptionist, which I absolutely hated hospitality. But one thing that I learned from hospitality is working with people. At the time, I did not understand why that was important because, again, I hated hospitality. But now that I'm in a career that is more sales-driven, I work with people, I have to understand people, I have to talk to them. When customers are unhappy, I have to find a way to calm them down. I understand why I had to go through the hospitality industry. Okay, so you may be wondering, how did I go from working in a hotel to now being in the fish feed industry? So the town where I was working that had the hotel, it was the same town where, because it's a lake town, it was the same town where there was a fish farm. And that fish farm was very popular. I didn't know much about it at the time, but it was a very popular name that would come up. And so one day I was on the internet and they were looking for an accountant. And it was that specific farm. So I applied for the job knowing very well I was not qualified. They said, how good are your Excel skills? I said 10 out of 10, which was not true. I'm not encouraging lying on applications, but I believe that it was just because I knew the farm and I felt like I live in the same town. I'm not sure what went into that decision at the time, but I think desperation for a job as well. I ended up applying for the job. I went for the interview. Surprisingly, they called me. And during that interview, I think both the interviewers and myself knew very quickly that I was not qualified for the job. So what did the lady say to me? She said, listen, this job is not for you. We don't think you're qualified. However, I do see another role that I think you would be good in a couple of months. So we ended that interview. Honestly, I had no bad feelings. I knew I went into something I was not qualified. 2 months later, I got a call. Hey, listen, we finally opened a marketing position and I think you'd be best suited for it. I didn't have to go through the interview process. Remember, I'd gone for the interview before. So I immediately got that job, completely unexpected at a time when I, again, had just given up hope. So that's how I now ended up in the fish industry. And from there, I started marketing. I moved from one department to the other, building retail stores, working with the sales department. Again, I would always find myself working with people, having to learn to tolerate different ideas, cultures, different perspectives. And it always takes me back to my initial industry experience with hospitality. So that's how I ended up in aquaculture. So one of the things that I emphasize, especially with people who are either changing their career or people who are entering the job market for the first time, you have to be very easy to teach. You have to be coachable. You have to be open to learning, because a lot of the times you're going to learn these things on the job. Whether it's a task that's given to you and maybe you're not sure what to do, you've never done the task before, you can ask your colleagues, ask your peers, or ask people who are in the industry. I often find myself doing that even now. I will still go to people who are in that industry or people who I feel have more experience and ask them, this is the situation, how did you deal with it, or how do you think I should deal with it? I'll get advice from people who I know. But you have to be very, very coachable. When people give you advice, when people try and mentor you, it's good to be open-minded and just hear them out. And then as you grow and as you gain more experience, you're going to be able to put all that advice together and do it in a way that you know is best for you. So another thing that's very important is you also have to be open to the fact that it's a very tough job market. And it's also a job market where the needs are changing every single day. If maybe 10 years ago, they were looking for somebody with so many years experience and this type of skill, now they're looking for somebody with even more. Or maybe for me, in my case, I had an economics degree, and then in the job market, it was very difficult to find a role that was using that degree. I also had to be very open to the fact that let me not limit myself to this one career path or this one career choice. What I had envisioned for myself 10 years later, at that time, it seemed like my degree, unfortunately, was limiting me. So I had to be very open to, if there was a hospitality job that opened up, I went and I took that job. And through that process, I was still able to learn things in that job that I still use in my career even now. And I'm using more of my degree now, but this is 11 years later. So be very open-minded. Don't feel discouraged that I went to school for 4 or 5 years, I got this degree and I'm not using it. Don't feel discouraged. Be open-minded to trying things. Be open-minded to looking for other skills. If there's a skill that you can do on your own that is not necessarily related to school, I would say go ahead, do it. It's through all of those things that you're trying that eventually you'll find your way and you'll be aligned. Lastly, you might find that you actually do end up getting a job that is aligned with what you studied, and whether you have a master's, you have a degree, a diploma, whichever, you get the job that is aligned with what you studied. You get a job, and then either the tasks that they're giving you feel like they're a bit lower than your level, what you studied. That frustration does happen. I've seen it quite often, especially for people nowadays who have masters. But again, you need to stay flexible. You need to stay open-minded. Do not feel that you are above the job at that point, because even if the tasks are lower level, from those tasks, you're going to learn certain things about the people you're working with at that phase, so that even if you get to a point where you're a supervisor, a manager, a director, you understand your team's challenges because you've also worked the same roles, you've also done the same tasks. When they come to you and they say, well, this is difficult, this is what you're facing, you can also provide solutions for them because you've been there. So I would say don't look down on that. It's going to happen at some point. Be open about it and take the lessons from it. From everything, if you want to be adaptable, you have to be open to taking the lessons, and definitely you will be fine. So that's it for today from me. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, put a comment down below if you want them to find. If there's other topics that you want to talk about, definitely comment down below. But from myself, thank you so much for listening.